I'm Roniel,
I'm Duran.
and today we're going to talk about API hackers. Is that a thing, by the way? And we'll go a little bit deep. We'll deep dive into that in the next episode. But evidently, API hackers is a thing, and Alissa Knight is actually discussing that everybody should become an API hacker. So, in this reaction video, we're going to listen to her talk about what it is to be an API hacker and why you should become an API hacker. And then we're going to give our thoughts about it. And I also got my little cookies, got my cookies off of the airplane. And then if you ain't having already, please go get you some Pure Life water. Yes, Pure Life is it was wow. It's kind of like blurring out on its own. Maybe it doesn't want it to show it. But yes, get you some Pure Life water. This is some good shit. And so you won't end up like the Ryan over here choking. So get you some Pure Life. Thank you.
Any of us?
That's exactly right. I mean, you wrote this, but you're also writing a book on API hacking. Is that right?
Yeah. So my first book was published with Wiley.
Yeah.
And then I saw. It's gonna sound awful, but I saw how much money they were taking from the book sales.
Yep.
So I was like, why don't I went to my wife Mel and I was like, why don't we just start our own publishing company and then publish all of our books under Knight Publishing, where we now also have a publishing company. And my new book on hacking APIs will actually be published under our new production company, Knight Publishing.
As we said before, an API hacker is just an application hacker.
Yes, what is the difference between sending the data via get and post parameters, just straight normal parameters, and doing it via get and post using JSON? There's no difference. You're still sending the same payload. The only difference is that you have your whatever tool you're using auto-magically do any necessary encoding or what have you, and that's it. Be it JSON, be it XML, be it SOAP. This is so. How is this its own thing?
I don't know. That's why it just blew my fucking mind. It was like, I don't understand what is going on. This whole thing about API hackers. You need to become an API hacker. You're an application hacker. You're an application pen tester. Whatever the fuck you are, there's no such thing as API hacker.
Well, it's worse than that because these people aren't even application. They're just website hacking.
Yeah. By the way, everyone, Duran, despite you web application penetration testers or hackers, he believes that you guys do not do a goddamn thing and you're taking the lazy way out. Mm-hmm. You really don't do shit. So you really want to get and become a really good hacker, get into application security and do some real application shit. Yeah.
That is actually one of the things that first, when people started saying, oh, well, API, and this was years ago when they started talking about it from a web perspective, I was sitting there going, what are you guys talking, because they were acting like it was new and novel. I was going, what are you guys talking about? We've had the concept of APIs since I think the 60s or 70s. It's just, when you have a library or an application that something else calls to, it calls to your code using an API. And all an API is a contract between yourself and the other party. You say, if you send me this data in this way, then I will send you this data in this way. That's it. It's you make calls to this method in some way, shape, or form, and I will respond with this kind of thing. That is an API. If you are doing a proper software development life cycle, I guarantee, have APIs built within your application because your application is layered. Be it the Corba method or some other methodology for laying out your software, you have layers and therefore you have APIs. The web APIs are no different, especially once you start talking about Open Swagger or SOAP, using whistles and things of that nature. It's the same exact thing. It is a published contract between your code and their code. You send it this way, you get this back.
Which, my opinion, service methods are the same thing.
Right.
Just kind of give you a different name to it. So,
Right.
People get this all construed. So, again, there's no big deal to this. And later on in the video, when we get to the certain points, he's going to talk about APIs being in control, in industrial control systems and shit like that. And that is not true. Even in cars, like I said, some cars may utilize web applications like Afana and stuff like that, which uses APIs, of course, as well. It's a web service. And that really is still no different from website hacking. So some cars access that, like Tesla. So yeah, they've been caught with using that and using default credentials if you don't change it, or owner doesn't know to change it in their car. But not every car is going around using that, and cars don't just go around using APIs. That's not how you hack them, unless just somehow they're using some type of configuration or interface to do that. And again, so you're not going to hack everything just through API. So just want to get that clear, but we'll talk about that once we get there.
Just as a reminder, when we talk APIs, apparently in this context, we're specifically talking about websites. It's really websites. It's SOAP. It's Open Swagger, RESTful APIs, what have you. That's what we're talking about. And the only reason why anyone thinks this is new or different is because you're talking to people who apparently have never been trained as a proper computer scientist or electrical engineer, where you would have learned what an API is, and you would have learned none of this is new, and this would not be a big thing for you. You'd be going, why are we talking about this? This is old. Everyone's been doing this forever.
Yeah,
What would you define as hacking?
So that's a great question, David. And I mean, I've seen so many definitions of hacking, and my definition for those, I think there's some people that will disagree and want to key my car over this, but to me, hacking is nothing more than just sending stimulus to an application that the developer didn't anticipate, and then sending a response to that stimulus.
For the record, in many cases, the developer anticipated it. They just didn't anticipate what the response would be.
Yeah. They know, and a lot. See, I was a developer myself, so I know there's a lot of developer friends that I know that knew that they were not writing secure code. But again, they had a deadline to meet, so it didn't really matter. It was either like, how many times did you see somebody argue with their boss about this is not good? But the boss doesn't care because they just want to get it out because their boss, the higher ups want this done now.
Yeah.
Especially product managers and shit like that. So they definitely know that shit is not right. But like you said, they don't know what the output is going to be. Yeah. But they anticipate what, that something's going to be wrong with it. So either way, that's not correct. And what is up with the stimulus? What is this, a stimulus package? What are you sending a stimulus package to from a request to the response? I mean, what is it going to give you back?
I'm not weighing in on this one. So many bad jokes. I will get canceled so hard.
Yeah, keep it rolling.
So, it's trying to take things apart and figure out how something works, and then sending a stimulus that the developer didn't expect. That's to me what hacking is. It's just trying to figure out how something works. I start on a new vulnerability research project.
Let me give you a good example of why that's actually wrong. That's a very stilted view. We've talked about it here before, but if you have the way your locking and synchronization operates depends a lot on the processor. Certain synchronization methodologies do not work on certain processors. This isn't a question of the developer didn't expect that stimulus. The developer didn't expect that input. This is actually a question of the developer didn't understand the environment upon which the system was going and did not understand the constraints on that environment and how that environment behaves. And so they made base assumptions that were wrong, or like you said, and this does happen a lot, The developer knows, but they have deadlines. I've been on projects where I've seen people get told it's okay if it's buggy right now. Right now, we're just trying to get a lot of versions out quickly, and then we'll come back around and fix it. Now, let's be honest.
We know that one of them companies.
Yes. Yes. And let's be honest. Do they ever get back to it?
No.
Never.
No. A lot of time they just scrap that damn project and move on to another one.
Mm-hmm. That's
and the crazy thing is, let's go back to even nail it down a little deeper. Some of the people that are actually developing these software, when you go back to saying that they didn't understand the architecture and stuff like that, they are normally not computer science people. A lot of them are self-taught, and they don't understand architecture and design that, well enough. So when they're writing this code, they don't understand what it's going to be on, right? What this application is going to run on. And then you have these memory corruption bugs and different things that, are in the wild, or shit is in the wild that's just insane, and they don't understand how did that happen.
Yeah.
So that's just something to take in consideration as well.
Now we're going to see supposedly how to start hacking APIs. Even though we've already said there's no difference. If you know how to hack a website, it is the same thing. I cannot stress that enough. The only thing that might change are the tools that you use. And even that really won't change, because if you're using Burp Suite, for example, that's going to do most of what you need. It's not unless you're working with SOAP and you want something special like Smart Bear?
Yeah, Smart Bear.
Yeah, that you would, or maybe you want to use Postman. I don't know why, but I guess you're cheap. Your company's cheap.
SOAP UI.
Yeah, exactly.
So much. But I want to come back to this thing, and I want to push you on it. Let's say you're suddenly interested in hacking APIs, and this is a new thing. How do you?
It's not a new thing.
What's your methodology of way of attacking it from being like?
Don't do that to him. He's a network guy.
Now you're the expert in this topic, and you said you didn't know how to hack cards, and now you've got a book on hacking cards, which we'll get into the technical details in a moment. But how do you approach that? Do you just consume knowledge, YouTube videos?
When will I learn my lesson?
Game plan?
So I look at it as like a blank piece of paper. If any of you have heard, applied the concept of mind mapping in college, or remember mind mapping.
That's a new one. Mind
mapping. You start
mapping
with a central thought, and then you branch out to these other nodes within the mind map. And the first thing I do is I start out with the center topic, like hacking APIs or hacking cars. And then I start mapping out what are the things within that sphere of hacking cars that I need to be aware of. So as a hack.
You remember we talked about a few different things, and we kept going back and saying, well, there's nothing new, and the only reason why this would be new. Let me give you a good example. Remember when we talked about the renaming of SOC analyst to threat hunter in an attempt to make it sexy?
Yep.
That is what's going on here. In the attempt to make website development seem cooler, they've started pushing these different terms for things that have been around for a very long time. I mean, and this has always been the case. I remember way back when, before it was called Ajax, you just say, oh, well, I'm making an asynchronous request. And then they said, oh, well, now it's Ajax. And then they had to say, oh, LAMP servers. And, this constant iteration to try to make website development, which is not technical, and you can do with very little training. Yeah, that's right. You heard me.
Not at all. It was, a lot of the website developers or web developers are Stack Overflow people. So it is definitely not hard. It was very easy for me. I used to do that in my sleep. People, even in computer science classes, when we were doing web development, people were just they were struggling to build these things. I'm like, oh, this is easy. That is not technical at all. So yes, I agree.
See, and I think that's the big thing is they've now decided, because website testing is boring. It actually is really boring, and it's not complicated and it's not technical. My suspicion is they're renaming it to try to make it sound. This is all fluff to make it sound like what they're doing is much more complicated than it is. So I've actually made vehicles All of mine were for the government though. And our vehicles were all running RTOSs and everything, but it's stuff where people die. So they had real hard constraints on time and all that other stuff. You would never see it running a web server. You'd never see that. You really would. Web servers are too slow. There's no guarantee of anything. Instead, we'd do message queuing, message passing. We'd be using DDS. We'd be using a whole bunch of other technologies all coupled together. We talked about it briefly before. You'd write your own protocols, and that's what you would be working with. And you would have an API, but not a web API. It'd be an API. So you'd have documentation. Similar to if you want to know how this method in C# or in Java works, or C, or whatever, you go to the API, which is the library specification for C, C#, Java. Same thing. You open that up and you say, I need to do this. All right, what does this method do? Okay, what does it expect and what does it return? That's an API. That's how people do this. This is script kiddie stuff. This actually is script kiddie stuff. This is script kiddie stuff.
So are you saying that she's a script kiddie?
Yes.
Okay.
So
this is for. Go ahead.
This is our first noob or not victim.
Good noob or not. Yes. She yes. Even the way she's talking about hacking, it just kind of gives me urges of script kiddie vibes. So, but maybe most people, and hey, some people might flame us and say, hey, she's not a script kiddie. She's done more than you guys have.
That's not possible.
Yeah, definitely not him. But anyway, either way, I'm not seeing it. Neither with her saying API hacking or API hackers are a thing. And knowing that the new API hacking APIs book has came out, which we will be doing a reaction on that book. Stay tuned for that as well. Everybody's making this a big thing. And it's now a thing where they're trying to get this whole push for API hackers. And again, like you say, it's to make it look sexy, bringing sexy back to web penetration testing. Is becoming a thing where not that it's more automated. Like you can automate things. Actually, there's some things that could be automated, but not everything. But it's not as hard as people would think.
Right.
So I think that's where that's going, and they're trying to bring sexy back, like you said.
Someone wanted a raise, so they're like, let's make it sound hard.
They're making, but why? Why not? Why not when the bug bounty thing started? That was a hot topic, and it's still people are talking about it, but it's dying down. Oh, yeah. But it was like a hot topic, and now we have to bring something into the picture to make it even hotter.
I think it really does the industry a disservice, though. What it winds up doing is, number one, it pulls in people who lose interest very quickly, which is a travesty for those individuals' careers.
Yeah.
Especially if they get stuck because they got a degree that is very, very specialist degree, right? The other major component is it cheapens our industry. It makes it seem like what we do is magic. And when people think what we do is magic, they think it's impossible to protect.
Yeah.
We had that discussion where I mentioned I was on this big DoD weapons system project, massive. What we were working on was life and death for a lot of people because it was going to impact all of the fleet, all of the aircraft, so all your air wings, and it would do a whole bunch of other stuff. I went through, I did a certain set of things. I wound up gaining complete access to this system, and I presented my findings, and I'm in this call, and I bring it up, and I said, well, I managed to do all of these things, and this was the result. And the government individual in charge of the whole thing, a lieutenant colonel, was like, well, yeah, but you're a god. I'm like, so instead of saying, oh, well, this is a real problem, the response was, this is so above me, and what you do is so magical, I can't understand. So you're just this person who could do something that no one else can do. And I was like, no, for all that's good and wholesome, anyone could do these things.
That makes me laugh every time you tell that story. It kind of reminds me, even at a higher level, but it kind of reminds me we were at that one company and we were doing the rodeo shows and, I'm doing all the demonstrations and they're making me feel like I'm just Jesus Christ just came down, and I'm the hottest thing to slice bread. And then, even when you're doing co-reviews, it was like, well, we don't want to hear that shit. We want to see this, no matter, even though those were big issues. Those are the big problem, year's problem. But no, we want to see the magic. Not knowing that there are a lot of issues here that coincide with that also can exist, by showing it through the demonstration and the pen test. So you have the code and you have the dynamic test. So I agree with you. Like, no, this makes it worse for us. And every time we get somebody like this, it makes our industry look silly.
It does. This is actually really not good, and it is a trend that needs to stop. Look, I want people to be interested in our field because I'm passionate about it and I love what I do. But I want passionate individuals who love what they do to do what they love. And I also want people to recognize that what we do is important, but also what we do isn't magic. Yeah. And the more we delve into the realm of magic, the more we hide and obfuscate everything and talk up what we do, especially when people figure out that the Emperor has no clothes, that it's not really hard to do, that 12-year-olds could do this, that 8-year-olds could probably do this. My daughter could do it. My daughter can do API testing.
You mean that I'm not a gray hat Jedi?
No, I'm sorry.
What? The Force is not with me? There's no magic here? Shit. I've been wasting my time this whole time thinking I was going to become a Jedi.
You're going to be Darth Vader.
Oh, that's a low ball. Even though have you seen his face?
Yes.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Better let your girlfriend know.
Yeah. Well, it ain't like she dated me because of my face.
I make that kind of joke all the time. I'm like, you mean this?
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's nothing sexy here.
The first thing you need to be aware of is what are your ingress points? How do you communicate with the car? What does hacking a car mean? What exactly does that mean? You're not, that could mean many things. It could mean throwing a brick through the window and reaching in and unlocking the doors, to hacking the car through Bluetooth or wireless.
No, that's robbing a car.
The first thing I do is
taking a car, carjacking. Okay.
For that target. With a car, it's telematics control unit. It's the router or modem for the car. So that's one ingress point, right?
Help me.
So the telematics control unit.
We're gonna have to call this one here because this is just gibberish. I'm sorry. This was hard to listen to the first time. Look, everyone knows. Everyone here, if you're new to security, I will start off. Threat model. That's, what she's really talking about is look at the threat model and figure out what the interfaces. She says ingress points, but it's actually more than that. It's considerably more broad than that. It is the interfaces to the system. Understand the interfaces to the system, determine what the threats to the system are according to those interfaces, according to the system, according to the needs of the system, the data, et cetera, and then from there you can move forward. It's that simple. Throwing a brick at a car isn't hacking, and I cannot believe she said that.
That's carjacking for anybody that don't know. Okay, so that is not hacking. That makes no sense. And we don't want to bore you guys with this whole video because it's that bad. And a lot of the things she's saying, she's not putting it in the terms that they should be specified in. So like stimulus, I get it, but can't you just use the correct terms for what you're trying to say? But anyway, yes. If you've seen this video, just wanted to let you guys know that API hacking is not a new thing. It is a part of web penetration testing. It's a web service. It goes along with everything else. It's nothing new. There's no such thing as becoming an API hacker. Now, if you decide to specialize in just only APIs, you are limiting yourself and to just one thing, and you're going to miss out on a lot of good stuff and pay.
Right.
That's not the only thing you're going to be doing. APIs are not the only thing you're going to see, and it's not going to be in every damn system and everything you test.
Yes.
You're barely going to see that. A lot of them are using old ass like frameworks and stuff like that. You're not going to see that. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about. A lot of the cars don't use. Now they're starting to come up, but they don't use APIs. A lot of them you have to, you got to go into the canvas and start getting data and trying to, get data from there and hack other parts of the car, but maybe Bluetooth, different things like that, depending on what it has. Some of them have Wi-Fi, but you're not going to just be talking about, oh, I'm going to just jump in and hack the API and I hack the whole car. That doesn't work like that. So we just want to make sure that people that are talking about this is a thing, they don't mislead newcomers that are coming into the field thinking that this is a new thing. This is not new.
Right. Yes. That is absolutely positively vital. If you really want to understand this industry, someone made a comment once about there are too many technologies, you can't know them all. The truth is almost all the technologies boil down to a few different things. And it's just the same thing over and over again. And that's the case here. You don't need to worry about specifics. You have to, we talked about it before, you have to understand how to abstract the data and knowledge and then apply that in actual use cases. So you abstract and then apply, abstract and then apply. This isn't new. This isn't hard. In fact, it's actually some of the easiest testing you can do, which is the case with all web testing.
That's why, for me, I like to do everything. And I had heard just recently, and this is going to be probably another reaction. John Hammond, he had another guy on, and he was saying something about penetration testing and that basically you couldn't know everything. And I'm not saying everybody is a know-it-all and expert, but in order to be good, especially in application security, you have to know a little bit of everything. There's no fucking way that you can say that you can be good at it if you don't know a little bit of everything, because there's so many different things. And as Duran said, you literally can use the same problem solving skills you use for one to another. I'm testing everything from IoT, industrial control systems, mobile, web, thick clients. It does not matter what it is, because I take that same principle and apply it to everything else. Nothing, it's new. They're not doing anything different than any other application or any other web technology. They're all using similar stuff. Similar frameworks, just taking it, what they learn from here, trying to update it and make it better. So same thing, whether it's blockchain, cryptocurrency, it doesn't fucking matter. Take those same problem solving skills and apply it to everything else.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Just takes time, it takes energy, and it takes actual purposeful learning. That's it.
If you're interested in any of our content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Roniel.
I'm Duran.
And this is our segment for this time. And stay tuned to our other API series that we have coming later on, maybe this month, next month, who knows? But stay tuned and see you later.
Have fun.
A lot of it, to be honest, was kind of boring. And what they're trying to allude to is just it's nonsense. But a lot of this is boring. And that's kind of why it bothered me. And surprisingly, I lasted the whole video because I wanted to see what the fuck was the big deal. Like, am I missing something in this? Like, this is nothing new. How much more can we talk about APIs? And I'm sure once I get her book so we can actually review it, that it's going to, it's not going to mind mac me anywhere. So they're going to cancel our fucking channel. It's over with.
We'll lose all of our 3 subscribers.